clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy Feast gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast gems.
Hi, it's Adam here. Now, I'm hoping if you are listening to this, that you are an entrepreneur, a business person. The reason being is that I think business people and entrepreneurs are going to get a lot more value from this than perhaps people that aren't in business. Now, some of the elements would still work if you are in a career and you want to get to the next level in your career, but it would be more beneficial for people that run their own business. And that's because the client that I was working with was a very successful business leader that they had, without going to university and without having that kind of formal education, built a very successful business. It was number one in their market. I was aware of their market because I have a business in the same kind of sector. And I know how difficult it would have been for them to have created that level of success that they had. But they felt still riddled with unworthiness, insecurities, because some of the people they were hiring were more educated than they were. And they were looking at what they'd built as somehow either luck or that they could lose it all, that classic imposter syndrome, without realizing that actually their background enabled them to have that level of mental fortitude and risk-taking ability, and to some extent defiance. I think I can relate to a feeling that when I was early in my career, I actually was fueled by people doubting me, people thinking that I wouldn't be very capable or competent. It was like lighting a fire under me, and then it made me very motivated. And I could recognize these qualities in this particular client, and that was enough to get them to a very successful level. But they didn't feel that it was the right qualities to get them to the next level. So this hypnosis session uses an element of a metaphor of a relay race, that actually who they were, they could be very grateful to get them that far, but now it's about the next phase. And in order for them to be that person, they don't need all of the insecurities and anxiety that may have positively fueled them in the past. They don't need that in the future, because actually they were in a very stable, secure position. They didn't want to get complacent, but they did want to grow, but have more feelings of balance and equilibrium in business, but also their family life. So I think entrepreneurs will be able to relate to that, because sometimes you are firefighting, you are spinning lots of different plates at the same time, and it's a gladiatorial environment. Most entrepreneurs don't make it past a few years, so those that do are clearly very capable, competent people. Now, there are certain suggestions here that relate to parenthood, that relate to certain qualities or unresourceful states that the client had that you might not be able to relate to. So just ignore any suggestions that aren't quite right, but lean into the ones that are helpful and useful, because mainly it's about thinking of what version of you do you now need to be to take your business and your life to the next level. So if that appeals, then you're going to get some value from this session. And if you do like the idea of working with me directly, there will be a link in the description where you can book a completely free consultation call. We'll have a chat. And who knows, I might end up being your hypnotherapist. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in that slowly relaxing breath, and as you exhale, just get a sense of any tension leaving your body as you exhale. Breathing in relaxation, exhaling tension, and notice with your eyes closed how much easier it is to just focus on the sound of my voice. And when you breathe in deeper and longer, and as you exhale, just allow that outward breath to keep on elongating, continuing to breathe out. And the more you breathe out, the more tension is being released. And the more tension is being released, the more relaxed you can take the next inward breath. That's it. Just releasing any tension around the neck, the shoulders, around the jaw, just releasing that now. The deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you become. And the more relaxed you become, the deeper you breathe. And as your body relaxes, your imagination awakens. And I want you to think of scrolling through photos on your phone of a place in Italy, a place with a pool, a brick wall, sunshine, and sun lounges. And as you're scrolling through those photos, I want a memory to come up. Maybe recently, maybe from many years ago, of a time you were by that pool, feeling deeply relaxed in a good place, as you consider this your happy place. And when you find that memory, that image, imagine what it would feel like to float into the phone, into the image, and then be there by that pool, under the Italian blue skies. And I want you to imagine what it would feel like to be on that lounger. Imagine the smell of suntan lotion, the feeling of the sun on your skin. And maybe you can see the sun shimmering off the surface of that deep blue water. And maybe there's a gentle breeze, or perhaps the slight scent of nearby flowers. But as you allow yourself to imagine being on that sun lounger by that pool, I want you to imagine how you would feel with your eyes closed there by that pool, feeling like you deserve this feeling, you've earned this feeling. And notice when you feel like that, it's easier to breathe deeper and exhale for longer. And I wonder if you could imagine thinking of if worthiness had a color, what color it would be. And just imagine seeing a bright, intense version of that color, almost like light. And just imagine breathing in pure distilled worthiness. And as you exhale, any insecurities, any feelings of not being enough, not deserving, just allow that to leave your body like a dark grey shadow. Breathing in worthiness and exhaling the insecurities. And very soon I will count downwards from 5 to 1 as you imagine being on that lounger, there by the pool under the sun, feeling calm, relaxed, confident, and just feel even more worthy with every breath, and releasing any historical insecurities, any ideas that because you didn't do one thing, somehow it makes you less worthy, starts to leave your body, and the opposite idea goes into your head. Some of the greatest entrepreneurs on the planet never went to university. They rejected that because they had things to do and businesses to build. And I want you to consider that your past facilitated all of your accomplishments. It didn't hold you back. It moved you forward. So as I count down from 5 to 1, breathe in that feeling of worthiness, of feeling deserving, and just feel like you're drifting off into a dream-like sleep. 5, all the muscles in your face start to relax. 4, that relaxation spreads now, down, deeper down into your neck and shoulders and then arms. And then 3, feel your lungs relaxing, your stomach relaxing. In fact, all of your internal organs relax. Feel that looseness, that relaxation. And 2, feel it going down into the gut. Because if the neck and shoulders is often where stress is kept, then the gut is sometimes where insecurities and anxieties are kept. And feel them melting away, and again leaving your body as that grey shadow. And then down, 2 goes to 1 as you feel that relaxation going into your legs. And it goes all the way down to the tips of your toes. Feel it rippling back up to the top of your head and then down to your fingertips. As you feel like you're drifting off into a dreamlike sleep, there by that pool, there under the sun, feeling more and more relaxed. And as you settle into this calmness, allow yourself to reflect on the many qualities that brought you to this place. You may get flashbacks of resourcefulness, creativity, determination, perhaps even defiance, a willingness and eagerness to prove doubters wrong. And consider these qualities not just ideas, but things that have been tested, refined, and strengthened. In fact, all of your achievements, whether in your business or in your family, whether large or small, become like markers along the path of your life. And each of them, without question, is irrefutable evidence that you are capable, that you are resilient, that you have that mental fortitude, that psychological strength. Allow memories of these milestones, these markers, to float in and out of your imagination. And as they do, take a moment to feel gratitude now for everything from your past that led to the things that you now value, for the courage, the persistence, in fact, all of the qualities that built your foundation. And you can acknowledge them fully, while also knowing they are not the end, but the beginning. And as you feel that gratitude, expand it, amplify it. Notice where it feels in your body. Maybe your chest, maybe your head. And you may notice that at times dissatisfaction has driven you forward. That feeling that things aren't quite right has acted like fuel, a spark that created motion. But I wonder if you could consider a new idea, perhaps even a truth. What if dissatisfaction isn't the only way? What if gratitude and growth can become an even more powerful motivator? The sense of pride in what you've built can energize you. The knowledge of what you've already overcome can strengthen you. And from that bank of accomplishments, you can build even more. Bigger, further, with calmness, confidence, and appreciation. As you continue in this dream-like sleep, I want you to imagine an Olympic stadium with a large athletics track. And I wonder if you could imagine yourself there on that track, feeling like you've just completed perhaps 400 meters of a relay race. Your heart beating, breath steady, and in your hand is the baton. And I want you to think that this relay race isn't 400 meters, but many years. And who you needed to be to start this race and to get as far as you've got, to become a leader, a pioneer, a disruptor. All of those qualities were useful and helpful to get this far. But I want you to imagine seeing someone that looks like you, but evolved just in front. And this version of you is the version of you to pass the baton to. But first, let's be grateful for being the version of you you needed to get this far, to overcome challenges, to take risks, to survive setbacks, to fight, to push, to persist. And you feel huge gratitude for them, because without them, you wouldn't be here. They did their job. they carried the baton this far. But as you look forward, I want you to look at that future version of you. There is something different about your facial expression, your posture, perhaps even the clothes that you're wearing and your mannerisms. As you assess that that future version of you is somehow not burdened by insecurities, not weighed down by anxieties, somehow lighter, calmer, wiser. And as you imagine passing the baton to them, switch perspectives and feel how it would feel to receive the baton. As you look back, that was the old version of you. And I want you to feel that this version of you moves with ease, with confidence, with gratitude. People that accomplish a lot often say that they are standing on the shoulders of giants. And I want you to feel that this next evolution of you is standing on the giant of your past. You can take it from here only because they've got you this far. Because this new version of you builds on what you've done. But what if this version doesn't need the same frustrations? What if this version of you is inspired by balance, growth, enthusiasm, and strategy? The time of being anxious to keep you alert, of being defiant to keep you motivated. Consider that the old version of you, and this new version of you can feel more at ease, more aligned. And I want you to imagine as you run with that baton, feel that you can run faster because you're no longer attached to the baggage of these historical insecurities. Your past is evidence of your capabilities. And now you are inspired by a vision of the future, not to prove anyone wrong, but now just to continue growing, to be the version of you you were always meant to be. I want you to think of a company that you admire, perhaps a global company, and I want you to think that the leader of that business now was not who they used to be. And maybe an image comes into your mind of someone that was very different when they started, but now has a different composure, a different energy, a different vibe. And allow that to be evidence that evolution isn't just nice, it's necessary. You're meant to change as your life changes. And I want you to imagine to allow that version of you to keep running around the track, but allow a different part to become the observer in the stadium stands. But instead of you seeing yourself running around a track, I want you to imagine a huge three-dimensional hologram there in the middle of that stadium, seeing your future. I want you to imagine yourself growing and taking your business to the next level. And I want you to see you doing that without needing the same level of stress and insecurities of your past. See yourself more fluid, more free. See yourself smiling more, even in business, excited more. But also see what you're like in your home. See yourself as an aspirational parent. See yourself connecting with your family at a deeper level. And see yourself with the ability to compartmentalize that who you are when you're working doesn't need to be the same version of you when it's all about your family. And if this future version of you seems more desirable, useful, and would add to the quality of your life, just let me know by nodding your head. And you can allow this hologram to evolve and change because you're the observer, you're the director. And if it isn't quite right, imagine rewinding it, refining it, as you consider this like Goldilocks. If the future you're seeing isn't quite right, keep changing it until it feels that it gives you everything you're looking for: motivation, connection, a feeling that you're moving in the right direction. And you can test drive this. If there's a moment you're not sure about, float from the stands into the hologram and test it out, like you're trying on new clothes in a changing room. Feel what it would feel like, perhaps to wake up with less stress, to take a risk with just as much diligence but less anxiety. And perhaps you can see that future version of you with much higher revenue, but also a much closer bond. You see yourself as the kind of person you want to be. And consider this planting seeds of ideas deep in your subconscious mind that are already taking root. And over the next few hours, days, and perhaps even weeks, don't be surprised if new ideas, new boundaries, or new ways of doing things intuitively come to mind. Because evolution is not immediate. It's a slow transition from one version of you to the next. A metamorphosis. The caterpillar doesn't become the butterfly instantly. And I want you to feel that you are in this metamorphosis, which may take days or weeks. But part of this process is becoming discerning and noticing which parts of you want to leave behind and which parts you want to embrace on the next leg of this relay race. Knowing that at some point in the future, perhaps years from now, it may be useful to evolve yet again. But for now, you've planted the seeds of this new transformation. That's it. And imagine floating back from that Olympic stadium to a sun lounger by a pool and feel like you're back in that version of you, feeling good, feeling rested, rejuvenated and recharged. But also realizing this is just a thought within a thought, an idea within an idea and a dream within a dream. And it's now time to return to your present. But what will awaken is a version of you more closely aligned to your future than your past. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Connect and calibrate into the here and the now as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. And if you've enjoyed this show or got some benefit from it, you may know of one other friend or family member that may also benefit from this hypnosis session, in which case I'd like to ask a favor of you, and that is if you could spend 10 seconds to share this episode with someone that you know that may also benefit. That would really help me to access new people that don't already know about this show. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you again on the next episode.